What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope you guys are all having a great start to your morning. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. And this is the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, right? It's about 5 minutes after the market has opened. Let's go ahead and check out /NG. This is pretty much what we have going on here. So I was super pumped. How many of you guys were super excited and saw the huge push on natural gas during, pre-market hours or extended hours, whatever it is that you want to call it, and it pushed above $3? I mean, that would have been huge. So around this time, we were right around, like 441. So looking at you guys, around this time, 441, this thing pushed above $41. So it would have been a nice little push up, and it wasn't even so much about the idea that it's up about 5%. Like, that's great and all, based off of yesterday's close. So for those that swing traded and got in below like $40, like, great. But it would have confirmed kind of the thought process that I had yesterday. But today, right after it hit highs of $41, it began to sell off, right? So it sold off, broke below the EMA line, started to make lower lows, and then got rejected by the SMA line, then the middle VWAP and stuff like that. Now we're trying to make our way back, but again, we still kind of have like this descending pattern of it making kind of like lower highs, right? So lower lows and lower highs as well. I think you could see it a little bit better if we were to put it like this, where it makes like kind of like lower lows and lower highs right here as well. We're trying to change its direction. We broke above the middle VWAP, so we're kind of consolidating here. But the MACD is not in favor of you guys, nor is the RSI. So again, going back to /NG, as this is a little bit more relevant, I think you can kind of see the pattern a little bit more clearly of what it is that I'm talking about. Why can't I see the chat? Let's see. All right. All right, how's the stream quality right now, though? We're streaming in 1080p, right? I just want to make sure you guys got all excited yesterday or 2 days ago. So can you guys see everything on my screen? Are we all good? All right, sounds good. All right, and I'm super pumped. 480p, perfect. All right, sounds good. There's actually one comment that just really excited me in the morning, right? And it was, what was it? I don't know why, but when I saw Gabe's little message of like, I want guac, meaning that like I want to make more money, let's go ahead and do it, right? So I'm gonna close one of these out. So there we go. So thank you again, Gabe, for your little comment. Fueled me up, got ready for the morning, and it was just like, let's get it, right? All right. So talk to me about what it is that you guys are looking at or see value in. So it doesn't have to be natural gas. I know I've been focusing a lot on natural gas. It doesn't have to be natural gas. What is it that you guys have, seen value in lately and stuff like that? So watch out for this. We're breaking below the EMA line, and now it's pointing down. So Joel is watching oil. We got people watching DRIP, PBR. Okay. Let me check what's wrong. SQs, UWT, LABD, huge push up, NBEV. Okay. All right. And now, how many of the ones that have been called out actually have confirmation of whatever it is that you see value in? So if you see that it's like aggressively pushing up. So I saw some people talking about like right now SQs, right? SQs had a really strong push during extended hours. So this is where it closed at, and it had a really strong push up to $18, but it's been selling off during after it peaked out at about $18, right? So is this going to trend down or sell off for the remainder of the day? Something to take into consideration, right? Because if that begins to sell off, then this thing is the one that has the potential to recover, right? TQs. Some of you guys talked about UWT and DWT. Okay, so I see maybe why it is that you called out UWT, but I also want to remind you that like DWT is still the one, if I'm not mistaken, that is progressively trending up. So natural gas just broke below 2.91. So here we go. We're getting a lot of consolidation on DWT. So I wouldn't be on such high alert for UWT when DWT is the one that's really consolidating and building that potential continuous uptrend pattern. JNUG is trending up right now. Thank you guys for your help. So yep, 100%. We're approaching this general area where JNUG is now becoming a little bit more on the overbought side. So again, now it's showing signs of an uptrend, very consistent. What's 3 things? I want you guys to say 3 good things about JNUG, and then maybe 3 also reasons on maybe why JNUG is not the best investment. So 3 good things. What could you guys point out? 3 indicators, 3 reasons that JNUG might be a reason to keep an eye on, maybe even for a day trade, right? Continuous uptrend above EMA and SMA. Okay, I like that. Over EMA, above EMA, trending up. Yep, uptrend. Volume. What's going on, Ozzy? Good morning, good morning. Higher highs and higher lows. Okay, sounds good. So yeah, I think those are all good things about JNUG. Now, what are maybe some negative things about JNUG, right? So we talked about the EMA line that's pointing up, a continuous uptrend pattern. Great. Higher highs, higher lows. Those are all attractive qualities above the overall SMA line, right? Above the EMA line pointing up. Now, what are maybe some things that would make us a little bit worried about JNUG? Not a good deal. Approaching previous resistance. Overbought, overextended, MACD overextended. RSI range, volume lower, increasing and decreasing rate over. Yep. Okay. Let's check this out. All right. I see it as a little bit risky. So what would make sense for something like ticker symbol, JNUG, for something that's so overbought? Again, just think about it. Something so overbought. Not a good deal, but it just continues to uptrend. And we can kind of identify a pattern where it's staying true to this SMA line, right? So it stays above this SMA line. We can trade in between the middle and top VWAP. What would make sense for this one? Would this be a swing trade? Would this be a day trade? Would you wait for a pullback and make sure that the margin of profit is worth it, wait for the confirmation, then add more to your position as it confirms an uptrend? Right? There's different approaches in which you can take. But the biggest thing is the understanding. That's the biggest factor that I want to cover today, is the overall general understanding that yes, JNUG is a continuous uptrend pattern. And the reason I'm using JNUG as an example, it's something that you guys can use as an example for every other stock that you guys plan to trade in the future that's overbought, not a good deal, but just continues to rip through every single resistance and show signs of a continuous uptrend. There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with investing in something that continuously pushes up. I think we all understand that, right? Nothing wrong with that, as long as you understand that it's bound to pull back. So what actions and what steps are you going to take to manage that risk and make sure that if you see value in something, you don't have to take a position, but if you see value in it and you see that the opportunity cost is worth it, that you are okay with taking it, that you take the position, you lock in profits, that you're conservative, and that you manage risk accordingly at either a break-of pattern or a max stop loss, right? %. And again, it's just an approach. If you think that something is super overbought and just based off your experience, it's just not worth the risk and the discouragement, 100%, right? We're just talking about once you get to a point where, you're investing in uptrend patterns, right? So you don't have to focus, like at such exact price points for your entry points, but you do a really good job with just making sure that you understand the different factors and components that you're getting yourself into. That's my biggest, like, as long as you understand kind of like the process and how everything is working, I think that's what like will really set you apart from everybody else. So I think natural gas just had a nice little pop up. Let's see it. Here we go. So it sold off. I kind of like this. We'll see if it breaks above the EMA line, but I kind of like that it didn't make lower lows here. That's actually pretty interesting. We're still around this general middle VWAP area, so I think this is going to be something that's interesting. Yeah, everyone made it very clear this morning. I'm sorry I didn't check the natural gas schedule or report schedule, but everyone posted it that it's going to be on the 4th, which is tomorrow, 1 hour after the market opens. So that's why I went live at market open today, or 5 minutes after the market open, and we'll be streaming until like I think about 30 to 40 minutes after the market opens. But yeah, so gold always goes up when market is turmoil. Yeah, it has a very common pattern of doing that. So manage your risk, set a stop loss. And I want to make a video about this, but my goal, like, how many of you guys, and please be honest. So first I want to ask you a positive question. How many of you guys are getting much better at identifying quality patterns? At identifying quality patterns, being a little bit more patient with your entries, maybe doing the average up approach and not being so aggressive when you're first getting started. Like, how many of you guys are understanding patterns more, like, you know, what's a good deal and maybe what you should stay away with and stuff like that? So, okay, perfect. Now, how many of you guys, although you still have that, you know, the offense factor, right? So like what to kind of like look after and go for, how many of you guys are still struggling in managing risk with the discipline? And that was my biggest, like, I was good at with technical analysis, and it clicked like really, like, very quick for me. My biggest struggle was risk management and cutting losses and setting a dollar or percentage stop loss every single time that I traded. How many of you guys are in that position where you're good with like patterns, you're good with identifying like, okay, this might be something that I might want to look at, and with that understanding that yes, it's not always going to go according to your plan. When it doesn't go according to, like when it goes according to your plan, great. You lock in profits, conservatively, you walk away, all power to you. Super easy, right? But what about when, you know, you enter a position, it doesn't go according to your plan, and you just struggle to cut losses? Okay. So we have a lot of people. There's two people, like people saying that they panic sell, and some people are saying that they hate cutting losses, right? What is it? And I'm trying to have a conversation with you guys because I want to come up with a solution. What is it that we can begin to implement that will remind you? This is the way that I was able to convince myself, and trust me, I still am not like, I still sometimes struggle. Not sometimes, I still struggle like pretty often in cutting losses. No question about it. So I don't want you guys to think that like you are like the worst trader in history and that you're never going to be able to overcome that. Trust me. It's something that like you slowly like refine. So there's two things that I want to talk about. The dollar value that you have invested. You have to admit to yourself. So for all those that said, yes, I'm good at identifying patterns, but I'm not good at cutting losses, you're not ready to trade with an aggressive amount of money. It's just that simple. Because the emotions that come with like this style of trading, it's just detrimental. Like it will ruin you because you're trading with too much money. There's no defense, or the defense isn't refined to a point where it will offset the offense. You guys work really hard. How many of you guys work really hard, make 5%, 2 weeks in a row, and then just one trade does not go according to your plan and you give back 15%? Like, that's the worst feeling, because then you just recap all the work that went into the past 2 weeks, and then you're just like, I just gave it back in one day or in one trade. Right? The biggest, and this is so difficult because, like, you know, it's already difficult enough for me because I know not all of you do it, although I repeat it every single time, to set up a plan every single time that you take a position. And the reason that I say that is, like, do I set up a plan every single time that I take a position? No. And maybe I should try to lead by example a little bit more. But the reason that I don't is, again, I'm at a point where I don't necessarily need to, right? I don't need to ride a bike with my, what are they called? Training wheels on, right? Like, I've done this, right? I've been able to consistently make money, so I'm okay when I lose money. Like, yes, it does suck, but it doesn't discourage me to ever trade again because I know I can profit. A lot of people with their mindset are just not there yet. So when they go through that experience of taking a loss, what do you think goes through their mind? Can you guys imagine what goes through your mind when you're investing in a new market, you think you're doing well, and then you just get really discouraged? What goes through a beginner's mind, or someone that's, you know, just getting started? By just getting started, that could be within the first year. Fear, panic, the inability to ever want to trade again, discouragement, quitting, 100%. Why? If your trading account was $1,000 and you were to lose, you know, $1 or $2, would that really discourage you? Or even $10, would that really discourage you? No, because the dollar amount isn't dragging you down. But you guys aren't losing $1 or $2 or $10. And some of you guys do have $1,000 accounts, but why? A lot of you guys are trading like it's a make it or break it already. Like, you're already profitable, and this is just like, you know, I'm just going to trade with my $1,000 account and I'm going to go with the full amount, rather than trading with maybe $100 and testing the waters and refining and building that confidence. And trust me, it's so difficult, right? So we don't talk to you about setting up a stock, like the stock market or the stock call out format, just because I like telling people what to do. I encourage you guys to use the stock call out format. So psychologically, when you're writing down your entry points, your sell points, I know that they might not be exact, but the biggest factors that I want you to focus on are how much money you can make and how much money you could lose, because those are the most difficult parts to deal with. Those two. And it has to do with mainly the losing one, because if psychologically you see that red figure of what you can lose, you're more bound to be aware of the risk, and then you can make the decision then and there, when there's no emotions attached to it, if it's worth the trade. So as long as everything is premeditated, that's what matters. But again, so if people struggle to implement the stock market or the stock call out format, what now when it comes down to, you know, making sure that everyone takes time to set up a max dollar or max percentage loss, like, I even have less hope for that. So my kind of spiel for today, I'm not seeing value in anything. We're still getting rejected on natural gas. I'm trying to, like, I know a lot of you guys learn from, like, me trading, but, like, I feel like these talks are sometimes maybe even better. I just don't think that I see value in any of this as of right now, because right now SQs is overbought with a descending pattern, so it makes sense on why this thing can continue to sell off. We got JNEG pulling back, so we might see a bounce around this general area, so stay on high alert for that. So I'm going to put an alert for the break above the EMA line. And then we got you guys just getting rejected pretty much around that middle VWAP and around that SMA area. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of, like, things in my favor So I'm going to set an alert, and I just want a more defined definition or direction. But I really like we need to implement some change for all those, right? I look ugly. So for all those that just even for the slightest, just even try it for a week, and actually try it. I know it's hard to set up a plan for every single position that you want to take because sometimes you guys are going in for day trades, right? Right? So, okay, the plan is one thing. Entry points, sell points, ticker symbol. Yeah, I get that's very basic. So, what I want to do is I really want to put you guys to the test. And you guys don't have to message me anything specific. All I want you guys to do is I want to hold you guys accountable. And this is even just for 1 week. For one week as of today. So we follow up with one another, right? On Thursday of next week. I need you for every single position, for those that want to accept the challenge, for every single position that you take moving forward, that we all have different styles. I like to focus on direction and making sure that it shows signs of an uptrend. Some people don't care about that. All power to you. There's 2 things. Max dollar or max percentage loss. You decide. I need you to decide by today. What amount are you normally trading with per position? And what amount of that, or what percentage amount are you okay with, let's say that you have a 50% success rate, right? So out of 4 trades, 2 work according to your plan and 2 don't. You want to make money, right? So you want to make sure that you manage your risk accordingly, that even after you take 2 losses, that your profits outweigh your losses. So every time that you take a position, let's say you manage your risk at 2%, so that's a 4% loss, right? That means that every single time that you go into a trade, that it should offer maybe a 4 to 5% margin of profit. So even if one goes according to your plan, it outweighs your losses. Does that make sense? So, and I want to read all of these, but I just want to say this real quick. So we need to. I think it could be something that could really completely shift your guys' perspective of the stock market. So many of you guys are doing so well with technical analysis. I mean, we do it time after time in our Sunday stock talks. You guys have amazing call outs. I've seen all the messages in the group alerts, regardless if I direct message you or not. And we're there when it comes down to the technical analysis and identifying pattern standpoint. What doesn't always, where some people lack in that I've seen as of today is risk management. So I want to ask you, and if you want to comment the percentage or the dollar amount that you're going to manage every single time, regardless if there's a break of pattern, regardless if and the second thing is holding a stock overnight. Holding a stock overnight when it's not going in your favor. That's the biggest mistake that I still make from time to time. Where it doesn't play exactly according to how I thought, and due to FOMO or due to hope that it pushes up overnight, that you end up not cutting losses. 2 of the biggest mistakes. So what percentage are you going to implement this week? And again, I can't make you do anything. You guys all know that, and I won't. But asking yourself, and I want you to write it down, because I want you to write it down wherever it is that you take a position, wherever it is that you trade. It needs to be there. So every time that you're about to take a position, you look at that piece of paper, and right before you're about to take a position, when you enter, you calculate what a 2% loss is, and you set your stop loss. Automatic, right? Super automated. You focus on quality and you manage that risk. 2 very simple factors, and the numbers will make sense. If you think that you're at a point, again, make sure that your dollar value is at a point where it won't discourage you, but make sure that you focus on quality, that the opportunity cost is worth it, and that you manage your risk accordingly. Again, there's a lot of different things that we've talked about, confirmation and stuff like that, but that has to do with more of my style of trading, which you don't have to implement. But one of the biggest factors is just make sure that every deal is worth it and that you manage your risk, because not every single time is going to go according to your plan, especially when you're just getting started. Okay, I like that, Kyle. So you accept that if your trade goes red and at $100, that you'll cut losses. I like that. So Betty L. So previous you were down 1 to 2K or even 3K, but you didn't cut losses and then held. Again, me being down like that dollar amount, I'm also trading with a lot more money, right, than the majority of the people within the group. And on top of that, I usually would wait for a break of pattern. On top of that, again, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to justify my thing, but due to like, it was mainly due to my entry point. I understood that my entry point wasn't the best, but I knew that the direction was there for recovery. But again, even if I took the 2 to 3K loss, it wouldn't discourage me. Would that be the same for each and every single one of you? Again, we're all in different positions. So what is it that you're going to implement? Again, you don't have to implement exactly what it is that I do. And a loss for me of like $100, like yesterday my loss of $145, doesn't really affect me because I know that I've had $1,000 days. But $145 loss for someone that's just getting started with $1,000 account, they're like, holy moly, that was like, 14% of my account. Again, I'm not here to, again, say that my style of trading is the best. I've never said that. I've tried to work with you guys to find your own style of trading because I know that that would work. So I just want to like ask you. And again, I'm sorry that if you already posted the percentage, but I want to see. I want to see what is your max percentage loss or max dollar loss that you are going to implement for the next week and hold yourself accountable for it. So when you put 2 to 3%, that's very open-ended. You have to decide what it is. Of course, Simon. Okay. $10%, $50. Okay. That's pretty high. Okay, 3%. All right, you guys wrote down the number. Now, what margin of profit, right? Because if you're going to control and manage your risk with a 2%, 3%, that was kind of the average 2% stop loss. And again, that means that you have to do the math right as you take your position. So if it doesn't go according to your plan, you cut losses, right? What percentage or margin of profit does every trade have to meet? Again, because if your defense is at 2% stop loss, your margin of profit has to be greater. So that means that a lot of the stocks that you're going to want to trade need to offer 4-5% margin of profit. And not a lot of these stocks are going to offer it. And you have to be realistic with yourself. So you're going to have to be super, super selective. So what margin of profit in percentage does this stock have to meet to be something that you're willing to take that trade? 5%, 4.5%. So 5% profit, 1% loss. I like it. Stop loss at 3%. %, 5. Okay, I'd say that 5 is pretty average based off of what everyone is saying. And what's a friendly little reminder that yes, your goal is 5%, but does that mean you have to wait till it fulfills that 5%? Or what is it that we are going to wait for? right? If we want to consistently grow our accounts, we have to understand that every single time that we have a goal or see a resistance, it doesn't actually have to hit that price point. Take profits, right? At any indication that there might be a resistance, that it might begin to pull back, that it breaks its pattern. Again, you're here to trade for the future, not for today. So I think locking in profits at that point would make sense, right? And all you're doing is just adding more to your cushion. So when you end up taking that loss, which is going to happen, you're not set back. You understand that it's part of the procedure, right? It's part of the week. Okay. Break a pattern. All right. Use trailing stop loss. Use stop loss. You can use an OCO bracket and have it all automated, right? We've talked about all this before. My biggest focus for January to kickstart 2019 strong is going to have to be like risk management. Because I know that was, again, we have this entire year to just start to get the ball rolling, right? And my goal is just to focus, because if we could really focus on the defense and control how much money we give back, I know that your guys' technical analysis and pattern identification is there. And the quality trades are there. We just need to focus on managing that risk. So many of you guys do such a good job. You guys have 5-10% days, which is same thing that, that's an absolute ridiculous day for me. Like, that's not normal, and yet you guys are experiencing it. But the things that we sometimes lack in is that risk management. So Eva's saying OCO brackets are my favorite. I love them too, especially when I'm traveling. If I'm on a plane and I'm about to take off, I set my OCO bracket, especially on the trader for TOS. Okay. Philip, super happy to hear that. And again, I'm kind of just watching the market right now. I thought that natural gas was going to push up. I wanted to take a position, but as of right now, I'm kind of just waiting out. And that's okay. Again, like, it sucks. Trust me. I've been trading a lot less lately, if you guys have noticed, than I was before, like early December, late October. We're killing it. But what is it that I said? What is it that I said? Like, why I'm not increasing my dollar amount too aggressively because of natural gas. People are saying, Ricky, if natural gas is doing so well, why not, like, trade it super aggressively? Why? Because we understand that they're part of their seasons, right? That they do well, and that when the demand ends up dying out, then guess what? It's not going to be as active. Right? That's simple. There's different catalysts that will drive the prices up and down, and the demand and the volume, but at a certain point, it becomes less relevant. And then there's something else that will follow through. And that's something, again, when everyone was like telling me, oh, like, no, you should be trading with at least like 5% of your net worth. It's like, dude, you do you. Like, you do whatever it is that will make you happy. I'm happy with what it is that I'm doing, and I feel like I'm doing just fine with it. And I'm here to trade for myself, not for others. I don't care if, like, again, if someone's net worth is $1 billion and they only want to trade with $10,000 or $1,000. Who am I to tell them, no, you should trade with more? Or that you're not a smart investor if you only trade with less than 1% of your net worth. It's like, who cares? If you feel comfortable and it's working for you and it's enough for you to like make you happy and you like what it is that you're doing, all power to you, right? So I like that, Philip. Yes, I think that's what I'm going to make today's video about. So I guess you guys don't have to watch today's video, but I think I've just really just been trying to focus a little bit more on just general concepts, because I really want like I really want just 2019 to be like a strong year. I'm not going to say like, oh, I want 2019 to be the most profitable year for everybody. Like, that's not what's most important to me. What's most important to me is for everyone to like at least understand the growth that they're experiencing, understand what it is that they're doing, and either break even or be able to consistently grow your account. Because this like skill set takes years, right? To truly refine and develop and build that confidence. You're gonna make mistakes, but if you could manage that risk, which means managing your emotions, which means managing your discouragement, then guess what? like you'll be able to most likely overcome all those obstacles and hesitations at a much more gradual pace. It's not a make it or break it. It's a, I'm going to do this consistently and I'm going to do it the right way. But hey, what's going on, Ismail? Nice for you to tune in. What's up, man? I like it. So, have you decided if you're going to increase your position size this year? Not yet. So I'm still waiting for my cash to settle for me to be able to remove the funds from my TD Ameritrade account. I actually don't know if I'm going to fully remove them or just leave it there. But yeah. Ryan Small saying, I love that idea, especially being small. Super happy to hear that. So again, I'm sorry that I didn't trade during this live stream. I just didn't see value in really anything. I don't think that the direction of what it is that we are trading or watching right now is too direct. So I'm just gonna like hang back and watch. But yeah, natural gas report is not today. Just a friendly reminder, right? So everyone was sharing. I got like 10 direct messages. Everyone was sharing that the natural gas report is tomorrow due to New Year's, which is going to be on the 4th, 1 hour after the market opens. Yeah, and I know that we're talking a lot about like dollar value and trading with a dollar amount. I hope you guys know that the strongest belief that I still have is to start paper trading, but so many people were just so against it that I was just like, okay, whatever, right? Like you guys do you. But I hope you guys know that paper trading is still, I think, the best way on how to get started. It's not too real for a lot of people, and that's okay. So that's why I was offering these kind of just different options. But yeah, I really want to thank you guys again for your time. I wish you guys an amazing Thursday. Again, you got to focus on getting that good deal, focus on that quality, and most importantly, let's focus on that risk management. Thank you guys again for your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.